What's going on, everybody? Let me change this echo. What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Classic dropping a midnight live. 3 minutes behind on schedule, but I'm glad to be here. This may not be a long live because I got to get used to doing midnight lives or whatever. This might be my only one, because I'll be off for midnight, the second shift soon. Salutes everybody that's stopping by. Leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the Take It Home podcast channel on YouTube. All that. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you get a ticket to Kingdom Come and everything. So I'm going to hurry up and do the promos. July 23rd is my next show, Runaway Train. That's July 23rd in Appleton, Wisconsin. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be me versus Kodiak, but you have a lot of other guys that are talented. TW3, you have Jaden Mercer, you have Devin, the champ, Preston. You have a lot of talented people. Kodiak and I, we will lock horns. We're going to have a big fight. Also, a week from that, Kingdom Come C3 Ultimate Wrestling's first show of the year. We doing it July 30th in Crown Point. You can buy tickets on Eventbrite, but you can also buy them at the door. Just make sure you show up and show out. We did some announcements. I don't have the card all the way, but we do have some announcements for the card. We've been doing the announcements so far. We've had Cobra versus the Ewok. We have myself versus Cassidy Keith. We had a triple threat of Mike Strong versus Marcelo versus Perfection. As you hear the water coming down the pipes because everybody wants to do something when I go live. And what I've also announced was the tag match, two-man Warzone versus Legit for the tag titles. You also have the triple threat for the women's title to be the first C3 women's champion. Vega Venom versus KO Kendra versus Renee Van Peoples. And today I announced that it's going to be Jackson P. Larkin versus the C3 Open Culture champion, Stone, for his championship. So it's going to be great. I got to upload them. I haven't uploaded. Like I said, I just got off work not too long ago. We also go into August 12th, Cage, my WPW Wisconsin Pro Wrestling debut, or Chase for the Case. It's not a title. It's basically a contract. That's what the champion has said. And I'm competing with other competitors, and I'm going to be victorious. So that's going to be in Green Bay, August 12th. See you guys there. And then I make a return to True Privilege Pro Wrestling. True Privilege Wrestling called their show is called The Showdown, August 27th in Maywood. Shout out to them. Y'all know that's my brother and that's my sister and stuff. Shout out to them and everything like that. Now, let's go into the video. Like I said, if you're in passing or whatever, if you guys are tired, you guys just support, just leave a like. You can always come back. That's cool with me. So I wanted to talk about something important. I probably would have had more traffic in here at 5:30, but like I said, man, I've been working. So I just didn't want to not have a lot of videos or anything like that. And this is something that I could go back. Sometimes I listen to my videos again to make sure everything is cool and stuff like that. So the name of this video is The Art of the Finisher and the Current State. So I've always wanted to do a topic about this and stuff like that because I do think that the finisher and even the signature, these are things that are not important to a lot of people anymore. Even when you think of signature and the finisher, signature would be like the thing that somebody is known for, what a wrestler is known for and stuff like that. Usually, especially video game wise, the signature was always the lead up to the finisher, if you will. So if you knew the signature was coming, then you knew the finisher will follow. For example, with Goldberg, people would consider his spear the signature and the finisher will be the jackhammer. Now, a finisher is what it is. It's supposed to be something that finishes your opponent. If you put the move on them or if you lock it in as a submission or something like that, then usually that wins majority of your matches. It's your bread and butter. It's your go home thing. You know, a lot of boxers or MMA fighters, they have things. You know, when Ronda Rousey was doing UFC, it was her armbar. That was her finisher. And you could also say that was her signature. Or you could say her cowl, her Batman cowl was a finisher and stuff like that. Back in the day, I felt they were sacred and they were more important to pro wrestling and even the locker room and stuff like that. Even now, when I'm in certain locker rooms, if I know somebody does a certain move, not to say I try to emulate what people do, but if somebody uses this move in their move set, or if it's a finisher, I'm nowhere near it. You know, I hate to say it, but it's just like when you think even like Stone Cold, right? Stone Cold was like it was a signature person himself. You know, it wasn't like this straight traditional wrestling that he was doing. He had the mud hole stomps. He had the middle finger. He had the Luthez press. He had the mud hole stomps. He had a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like when you see somebody else do it, you know it's there. You know it's his. And he's worked so hard for that, for people to even nowadays know who Stone Cold is, even if you don't watch wrestling or you used to and you stop. You talk to somebody about it. Stone Cold and even Hulk Hogan and even John Cena is like, those are guys that like people say, okay, well, if you do watch something, look at them, or you heard about them, or you've seen them in a movie or something like that, because they have a lot of endorsements and stuff like that. It's different now. You know, I think with signatures and finishes, everybody does the same thing most of the time. I think that's always an issue with me. So, for example, I remember when Cena was doing springboard stunners. That's my baby in the back. Springboard stunners and stuff like that. And I remember Stone Cold was upset with it. And on the independent scene, cutters, stunners, and stuff like that, that is something that you're going to see at a show. You're going to see it at almost every independent show. Almost every. I can't speak for all, but cutters and stunners are they're like the go-to things besides super kicks and German suplexes, which I do think a lot of people overuse it. So it's just like when you see one German suplex, hold on, mama, you need to watch what you're doing, okay? I don't know why babies like to do dangerous stuff. If you're gonna get down, okay? Don't do it like that. As y'all hear, my youngest son is running, and so I'm gonna have to send him to bed soon. But anyway, going back into the finisher department or signature, I do feel like a lot of people don't think hard. Not all, but I don't think a lot of people try to find something that makes it special. Now, to be fair, a finisher is what when I was training and stuff like that brought up. A finisher is supposed to usually be something that somebody that you can do to a lot of people. So when you do think of moves like the stunner or the cutter and stuff like that, hold on, y'all. Go sit down. You're going to fall. Go sit down. You're going to hurt yourself. I'm sorry. Hold on, y'all. Go sit down. You're doing that on purpose. Go sit down. If you're going to get down, get down. Oh, Lord. Even though it's late, she still want to be up. Thank you. Anyway, a finisher is usually something that you can majority of the time can perform on anybody or something like that. And some people know that's how you finish the match and stuff like that. So when I do think of moves like the Stone Cold Stunner or even like the pedigree or even cutters, these are moves that you can do on every wrestler and stuff like that. Some people have power moves that they cannot do to everybody and stuff like that. But sometimes you can change something. You can improvise. You can have a submission or you can have something else. So you can even use your signature and stuff like that. You know, for example, Undertaker's move signature was mostly like a choke slam and then it'll lead to the tombstone. But if you could not pick the person up, I remember he did King Kong Bundy with a high clothesline, but even then he can always do like a choke slam or something like that because of the cooperation with the move. So these are the kind of things that we've always saw with like a finisher and stuff like that. So like cutters and even stunners, those are like the easiest things to learn and stuff like that. And sometimes people who break into the business, they already have an idea about what a finisher is. I mean, when I was coming in, I had an idea of what I wanted my finisher to be. I didn't know how to perform it, and I didn't even know if it was possible. but I did see it was possible, and then I finally did things. Now, if you don't know, one of my moves is called the Southern Classic. I'm gonna change it to the Classic Driver, and what it is it's a samurai driver. I've shown it before. I'm going to show it again, and then eventually I started using the Burning Hammer. Now the Burning Hammer, just think of it as a attitude adjustment the opposite way. Instead of them landing on their back, they're landing on their front, their stomach and chest and stuff like that. I did mine different from a lot of people because the Burning Hammer is banned in a lot of certain places, and the way Kenta Kobashi used to do it looked like it was painful. And my thing was, I've always wanted to be safe and stuff like that. So instead of just having you fall like a Death Valley driver, because that's actually the great comparison is the way a lot of people do it is like the reverse Death Valley driver. Instead, I flip you all the way around and then I make sure it looks devastating and stuff like that. And I did that for a while. And I'm not saying I ain't the first and I won't be the last to do it. I haven't done it in like 2-3 years. I think 2 years. I think I was like, I'm just revert to my move and stuff like that because a lot of people started doing Burning Hammers and stuff like that. So Lafayette in the building. What's happening, bro? What's going on, Robert? I haven't heard from you in a long time. I hope everything is going good with you. But yeah, my move was a Classic Driver, which I do now, and then I also do Burning Hammer. And now I don't do the Burning Hammer no more. I just stick to the Classic Driver, which is also known as the Southern Classic. So my thing is I can perform it on a lot of people. Say hi. Say hi. Say hey. Because I know you want to say hey. So anyway, going back into it, sometimes your trainer will give you a finisher or something so you can learn. Or sometimes you need to learn the basics. That was another thing as well. A lot of people look at a lot of wrestling, they'll look at a move and be like, you know what, I can do that. But hey, you still got to learn how to run the ropes. You still got to learn how to do certain things. You got to learn how to bump. You got to make sure you have this person. I look at a lot of moves that people try to do to other people finishers, and like the person who is smaller than the bigger person trying to pick up the big person, not even struggling, and it looks unsafe or it looks crazy. I look at a lot of power drivers that look like people falling on their heads and stuff like that. Stop, mama. Don't do that. And if you see people falling on their heads a lot, you see people landing on their neck, you see people doing a whole bunch of things because either they didn't practice it or they're trying to rush it and stuff like that. And you got to be careful with that kind of stuff when it comes to your finisher. If you cannot hit your finisher on somebody, that is okay. You can always improvise. You can always do something else. You can do creative. You can do a submission. Or you can do your signature. You can do certain things. And I think a lot of people miss that. I think a lot of people are like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this. And then sometimes you hurt people. You hurt yourself because you don't have them, or it looks crazy. So nowadays with old school, like not even just saying signature moves and stuff like that. When Hulk Hogan would Hulk up, let's say, and the no sell thing, there was only a few wrestlers even after that was doing that. So when Hulk Hogan did it, Hulk Hogan, when he did it, it was special. And then even Sting would like no sell chop sometimes, or certain moves he would just no sell it, or even the Ultimate Warrior. But can you imagine if like everybody on the roster was doing that? That makes it less special, because this is something that they do. This is their signature. This is something that people pay to see. They want to see, okay, you just punched the man, and then now he's looking around and he's hulking up and stuff like that. And then it's the anticipation and stuff like that. If everybody in the locker room was doing the same thing, Hulkamania would be generic. Nobody would even care about it. Now I know people don't care about it now, or a lot of people don't. They say they don't because of the man behind it. But at the same time, these were things that they used to be different and stuff like that. You have a lot of people, Stone Cold, going back to Stone Cold. He's a very influential wrestler. Not even by Stone Cold Stunner and the brawling. But yeah, even the brawling, right? I don't know if you asked you this yet, but in case I haven't, how long have you been in the business? I've been in the business for 10 years. And I've been promoting for 3. Oh, snap, I dropped something. That's okay, mama. Get that so you don't step on it. But anyway, going back into it, Stone Cold is very influential to a lot of people who wrestle now because, that's okay, mama, babies. Is very influential because a lot of people think that they could just be excuse my language, a badass and a brawler, and they can just do certain things. You know, I don't want to say when I see Moxley, I see that, but I see him. I don't want to say emulating, but I see just like a form of that. And I always said it was like people always try to do the first and last name thing, where it's like I just fight and beat people up. While we wrestle, so we beat each other up anyway. So you have to be different than that. You have to be different from a Stone Cold and stuff like that. You see so many people, they do it and they don't know how to make it their own. They don't know how to innovate. They just this. You know, you got a lot of shoot fighters or people who say they're shoot fighters or doing MMA and stuff like that, but they do the same things. They might look legit, but they don't look original because everybody has the same formula. I just want to, that's okay, mama. Dang. You see a lot of people trying to knock people out or make people tap out and stuff like that. And it's just like, what makes you different from everybody else? Going back into the finishers, you look at finishers now, cutters. I saw a match. I'm not going to say who. I saw a match between two competitors, right? And this is on YouTube. I saw two guys, right? They were fighting. One person hit the other person with a cutter, and then he pinned that person, and then the person kicked out. A few minutes later, the person that got pinned did a springboard cutter and won the match. So you saw two cutters. And I'm not just getting on cutters because there's a lot of moves that people use as a finisher or a signature and stuff like that. And that even goes into my next topic of move protection. Dave says, burn the hammer. Shout out to you, bro. Yeah, I like it. I might pull it out. Stop, mama. I'm gonna send you upstairs, okay? I'm gonna send you upstairs. The burning hammer was just one of those things. It was just like, man, this looks devastating, but I want to make it my own. So I would do the full rotation. Now I'm not sitting here saying I was the first one to do a full rotation because some people want to do dangerous things like that. I'm not one of them. But Jamie, shout out to you. You said the current problem is so many finishers are being used in one show, sometimes multiple times in one match. And that's the thing. Let me talk about move protection first. So like I said, in a locker room, especially the locker rooms that I share, for example, let me use Marshe Rockett for example. Shout out to him and everything he does. Nice person. He does an M80. It's a form of a cutter. I'm not crapping on cutters or nothing like that. My issue is there's so many of them. It's just like what makes you special. But a lot of people know that when they're in the locker room with Marshe Rockett, not doing a cutter for anything because that's his finisher. And if you do it before he do it, it might make his less special. It depends on how people reflect that and stuff like that. So Stone Cold was upset with Cena because Cena would do a springboard cutter, which he didn't need to do, by the way, at all. He dang near didn't make him almost. Most of the time, he didn't even land them correctly. But it wasn't a finisher. It was a setup to the AA, the attitude adjustment, which is basically a standing fireman's carry, a.k.a. a diet version of the Death Valley Driver. But going into it, nobody else could do it on the roster. You couldn't even do a Death Valley Driver, a DVD, because that was Cena's move or whatever. But Stone Cold's issue was that it wasn't even a finisher. And then now you fast forward, Kevin Owens uses it as a finisher. And I don't mind that. I think it's cool. I was not a fan of Kevin Owens doing the pop-up powerbomb because I don't want to say it didn't look believable because of how Kevin looks, but it just didn't. And then I remember he did it to Mark Henry. And I was like, why? Why is he doing this to Mark Henry? I never seen Mark Henry leave his feet like that. And it was very impressive. But I didn't care much for him to be a finisher. So shout out to him and Stone Cold. They had a great match at WrestleMania and stuff like that. But finishers used to be protected. I remember one time I was talking to somebody in the back about my finish, and then somebody came and was like, "Oh, I thought you was talking about my finisher because I do this." So sometimes people want to protect their finisher, and I understand that. You have young bloods. You have Jackson P. Larkin. He does a move. I'm not going to say what it is, but He only does it for certain occasions and for certain companies. Shout out to John. So those are the kind of things of protecting your finisher and stuff like that. Now, if you're new in the game, it's very hard because a lot of people will be like, you got to show us something. Why should I stop this for you? And then if you earn that respect, that's a good thing. But move protection was always like a big thing. If Stone Cold is doing something, nobody else is doing it. Unless you were Kane, you weren't doing the Tombstone, let alone the Choke Slam, unless you was the Big Show or Paul White or anything like that. So those are the kind of things that should be an aspect that a lot of people should pick up on, especially with like companies and stuff like that. Because if everybody's doing the same move, what makes your move different? If your finisher is a cutter, right? Hold on. If somebody else did a springboard cutter, a flipping cutter, the knife cutter, the cutter, the cookie cutter, they did all of this before your move. What makes yours a finisher? Especially if they possibly did it better than what you did, then it's a problem. Because it's you, or because your status, or because it was a main event. Like I've seen people try to explain why their cutter is different from everybody else. And it sounds nonsense. It's like real nonsense, no disrespect. Like I said, only some people can pull it off, and only certain people should do it. Like if you go to the back and you hear in the locker room that people are doing cutters, I think it's best for you not to do a damn cutter. What? You're supposed to be slick. Super kicks. Dave, I'm with you, bro. Super kicks. You know, Shawn Michaels wasn't even slapping his leg at first when he was doing sweet chin music. But now super kicks should have just stayed as a finisher because you're basically getting kicked in the head. But nowadays it's a setup. It's not even a setup to a finisher. It's just I'm a no sell it and kick you back, and then you kick me back and no sell it, kick. Double super kicks. They're not finishers. Flipping super kicks, 450 super kicks. I'm still working on mine, by the way. They don't look right. Like I cringe now. I refuse to do them. Why? Stop it. Why do I need to do it? And I've always said, if you do something, if you do something that is similar to somebody else, make it your own. I like Miro's super kick. He calls it a Machka kick. When it's a shuffle kick, it goes straight into it, and it looks a lot better than the super kicks that I see. It looks like he's really trying to kick your head off instead of people just lifting their leg up and slapping their thigh, obviously. You know, super kicks can still be considered a finisher. Nowadays, it's so overused, it's just like the punch. It's just like the lockup. It's just like the chain. And you expose yourself because you can't even, if we're supposed to be legit and you kick somebody in the head like that, they're supposed to fall. But nowadays, people take 2-3 kicks and don't want to fall. They bounce off the ropes and try to kick again. Germans, too. So many people do Germans. And it's just like, you know, at one point, you look at a German back in the day, you'd be like, okay, well, the Steiners were doing it or something like that. Or the Scott Steiner or something like that, because it was something that they would do. It was a signature. You know, they used to fight back in the day when people were still finishers. Or try to do what somebody else do. They used to fight for that kind of stuff because that's how they get paid. People would pay to see this kind of stuff. Nowadays, which I guess you don't want to fight, everybody does the same thing. Cody did a Cody cutter. Like, it was considered a Cody cutter. And then Sammy gave Cody a cutter off the ladder, which is very impressive, by the way. But not just cutters, super kicks, suplexes, all kind of German suplexes. It's just like, oh my God. All right, Brock, that's all he do in his matches, and everybody else do them too. Live TV, free TV, no TV, 2B TV, any TV, MTV. That's all you see is just Germans. You know, and then a big thing was you have to always pick a move set. What makes you different? I'm constantly studying stuff, looking at old footage that I have, and I'm like, man, I should bring this back because I don't see a lot of people doing it because I do want to stand out. And some people don't stand out. If you're doing the same moves as everybody else, you're not going to stand out besides maybe your gear or whatever like that. But finishers supposed to be a finisher. So that goes into the next topic. You know, I understand that people want to do these things where they kick out of finishers and stuff like that, but you always have to make it special. And I think that a lot of people have a hard time making it special because there's so many false finishes. False finishes is when you do your finisher or when you do a big move and then you pin them and then it's close to a 3 count, but then they break out. Now, usually this works if it's high stakes, if the match has a high stake to it. Is it a championship match? Is it a loser leaves town match? You have to retire or a contender match. Like these kind of things matter. But if you're just doing it on live TV, there's no elevation for it. There's nothing special about it. You're just doing it for the heck of it. It becomes boring when everybody does it. And there's a lot of TV shows that do that. And it's just like, well, why should we care about this kind of stuff? Because it's like, we're supposed to be excited. We're supposed to assume that when a finisher is hit, that's it. But then if you're trying to make your match special by doing that, why should we care? It gets boring. I don't want to say get bored. Let me not say that. It don't get boring. It just get repetitive. It's just like, why do we keep looking at this? Like, why is he kicking out of that? Why couldn't he hit something else? Couldn't y'all put something else back together? All this for this is awesome chant. These people are going to forget it by the time they go onto the card. These are the kind of things that are very important. I do think you do need to protect your move. I do think you have to do it respectfully, especially if you have one that stands out from everybody else. I did want to show you guys a snippet of my 2 moves that I used to do, the Burning Hammer and the Classic Driver now. So give me a sec. I'm going to cue it up real quick. Share screen. Like, shout out to everybody that's been commenting and everything like that. I do know that it's late. I do know that other people are going to watch this later. So I love you guys. So here we go. Burning Hammer. This was the this or that move, like which is more devastating. Oh, this I ain't got to see it. Man, that was a little man. To be young again. But yeah, going back to that, that was like one of my favorite versions of that move. I gotta work on some stuff to make it all sound like one song. I know what I need to do, but going back into it, like I said, I was big on the Burning Hammer and stuff like that. But then like now I'm just gonna change this of mine because I don't see a lot of people doing it, and I also get a lot of feedback, a lot of positive feedback. Oh, I love that move. That move is dope and stuff like that. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna go back to that. But going back to finishers and stuff like that, finishers are very important because they're supposed to be the end point or possibly the semicolon to the sentence of the match that you're having. And I do believe that a lot of people forgot the plot because they're trying to hurry up and have match of the night and stuff like that. But it's just like, why are you doing false finishes on the first match? Like, why are you doing falsies on this match and certain match? Maybe if it's a story to tell, but everybody doesn't have the same story to tell. There's no title going. There's no blood feud. There's no rubber match. There's no contendership. There's no high stake. We're just doing it on a YouTube show. We're just doing it just because we want to do it. It doesn't work like that. And that is like the funny thing about the situation with finishers and stuff like that. Could you imagine going into the back and then seeing somebody do a Stone Cold Stunner in front of Stone Cold and somebody kicks out of that? He'd be upset with that. Undertaker and stuff would be upset with that because people only kicked out of the move for certain situations and stuff like that. But now it's just the normal. And then even signatures. There's no signatures. Everybody does a super kick. Everybody does a German. And that's it. You might see a power bomb or two or whatever like that, but people don't like to improvise. If you can't do the move on somebody, don't try to do the move. Simple as that. But some of y'all just like to go in and y'all like to act up. And this is the first thing people be like, y'all need to be careful. Be careful what kind of moves that you're trying to do and stuff like that. Some of y'all just be hard headed. Y'all just be like this. So it's just not right. I don't know what's wrong with the audio. It messed up my whole joke. But anyway, going back into it. I do think that it is very important to ice cream. Good job. I do think it's very important to protect your finisher, to protect your move. I do think that, if you are cool and comfortable with the locker room and they know who you are, they shouldn't do anything similar to it. And if you see, no, thank you. If you see a lot of people doing the same move, improvise. Or even if you don't know the person that did a match that had your move or signature, try to do something else. Try to do like a signature or something like that. Or if you do it, hold on, mama. If you do it different, then it works. Sid Vicious and Kevin Nash was in the same roster. They both had the same move, the power bomb. But what was different? Kevin Nash called his the jackknife, and his was more of a release power bomb compared to Sid Vicious. A lot of people were doing power bombs as a finisher, and the power bomb is still considered a finisher to me. A lot of people don't like doing it, like saying it like that. A lot of it is a setup, but it's always a difference. What's your thoughts on the AEW World Title situation? I'll speak about that real quick. Hold on, mama. I don't think it was a good idea to keep Punk champ. I do know that it's so hot in here. I do know that I guess they thought he wasn't going to be hurt. I'm hearing rumors that he's still kind of bad. Stop, mama, stop. But I don't like that, only because it's similar to like the interim championship thing they had did with CM Punk and John Cena at WWE or whatever like that. I'm not a fan of Mox winning the belt as an interim. I know why they did it. I just wish they could have gave it to somebody else. My opinion on that. I think when Punk does get better, hopefully soon, like I said, I don't wish ill will towards nobody. When he gets better, he's going to beat Moxley. I think we see this coming a mile away. I think even with Mox winning, we knew that like any title match he's going to have, he's going to win it. So I don't want to say that everything predictable is boring and bland and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm not that big on Mox. I'm just not. The man bleeds all the time. Okay. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Thank you for asking me that. But yeah, finishers, you're supposed to finish something, right? And when you don't finish something with your finisher, is it a finisher? It's an almost gotcha, or it's an almost or something like that. It's not even, to me, it's just a lost art. But there are some moves that are protected still, or they still look legit, or you rarely see people kick out of it. For example, get down. For example, the F5. I believe the F5 is one of those protected finishes, and the only ones who really kicked out of it a lot was Roman Reigns, and maybe you could say like Drew McIntyre and Goldberg. But there isn't anybody that's on the WWE roster that's doing the F5. And this is the thing. And, a lot of people say stuff about WWE, but they do good. They do great with move protection sometimes. When Seth was doing the curb stomp, no one else was doing it and stuff like that. So it made the move look legit. Made it look like a legit finisher. The moveset. Bianca Belair, KOD, the Kiss of Death. That looked nice. Somebody want to show you ice cream. But anyway, the Kiss of Death. I don't think I've seen anybody kick out of it. So we know that when she hits it, that's it. There's no kicking out. That's fine. That's move protection and stuff like that. There are certain moves that people do that nobody's kicking out of. Wardlow, he does the Powerbomb Symphony now. I believe nobody should be kicking out of 4 or 5 power bombs. That's just me. Kenny Omega, the one-winged angel. I think they saved that until Paige kicked out of it. I don't know if he did. I didn't see that match. I didn't watch that Revolution. But I believe that move was protected for a long time and stuff like that. Some finishers that look protected. I don't think anybody's kicked out of maybe Thunder. Maybe she Serenity, she had her move, the Serenity lock. They made that look legit and stuff like that. Bobby Lashley with the Hurt Lock, unless they like power out and take him to a corner or whatever like that, is devastating. A lot of people tap out real quick to it. So those are the things that is like very important to think about, that moves can still be protected. I think that's one thing people can learn from WWE was that they did have some things they do protect a lot of people's signature moves really good, unless it is a title match or something is on the line. Then it's like, oh my God. Like one of my favorite matches is WrestleMania 25, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, and how they traded moves and stuff like that, and how it would look legit because everybody was on the edge of their seat and they thought that whoever hits the move next is going to win, and it worked. Nowadays, when you go to a show or you see other companies or you go to an indie show, that's all you see from start to finish. Okay, you're going to kick out of my Canadian Destroyer. I'm going to hit you with a super kick. I'm going to kick out of that. You're going to kick out of that. Then you hit me with a code breaker. Then I'm going to hit you with my version of a Destroyer. Springboard cutter, 450, red arrow, loop-de-loop and pull, and your shoes are looking good. And then you kick out of that. And then now it's just like, okay, y'all are putting too much stuff in it. It's an oversaturation. On my Facebook page yesterday, I showed a video. I don't know if it was a practice match. I'm going to say that. Don't know if it was a practice match or if it was a legit match. But these guys were really chaining, quote unquote, and I use that term very loosely. They were wrestling and kept giving each other cutters and reversing, cutter, reversing, cutter, reversing, cutter. So I don't know if they were doing that to be funny or whatever like that. But honestly, that's the structure for a lot of wrestling matches. So when we think about that in wrestling, and then you ask somebody what their finisher is, and then they don't mind telling you it's something that somebody else do. Why should we even invest in it be believable? If you can sell it right, then you can do good. Santino, right? I would say this before I go. Santino sold that his move was a Cobra, and people really sold, like, come on, man. And my thing is, I know it was a comedy, but the fact that people sold it and he won matches with it was hilarious to me. Now, my thing is, that's just how crazy stuff is. What's his name? Orange Cassidy, what he does, he calls it the orange punch. And people sell it like just a punch. I don't want to say like body type wise or how he look, but they sell it and they be the end of the match. Now, I will say this. A lot of people do strikes. Do again. A lot of people do strikes, and sometimes they look like legit. Like if you hit somebody in the jaw, in the back of the head, on top of the head, they probably will be unconscious. Some people, it looks good. Some of it suck. To me, it's the worst thing in the world when you do all these moves, and then the finisher is a running knee, and that knee does not connect to no jaw at all. But then you pin him, and then that's it. You just made everything look worse from what you did at the beginning and stuff like that. Some people's strikes don't look good. The backhand strikes, forearm strikes, like they stop because they don't want to hurt the person. And like I said, ain't nothing wrong with being safe, but you don't need to be doing that if it looks like that. Hey, you okay? No. Okay, I'm gonna take care of that. I'm about to get off soon. But yeah, I'm gonna help you. But going back to it, finishers should always what is that? No, stop. Leave that alone. That's not good for you. But anyway, going back to it, finishers always stick out, and they should always be important. Going to strikes. Strikes can work. Strikes are good. Strikes are legit. If you make them look legit and stuff like that, like you really knock somebody out. Anthony Ogogo does a great job with it. No. Anthony Ogogo, because he was a boxer. So it's like anytime he hits somebody, you're going to feel it or you're going to get knocked out and stuff like that. Mike Tyson, when he hit Jericho, it looked legit and stuff like that. Even Mayweather, when he bladed up the Big Show, it looks legit. So that's the kind of stuff that works. Strikes. I used to like Umaga's in the words of William Regal, Umanga. I used to like his Samoan Spike. Now, I know a lot of people like, oh man, this is crap. Just a thumb in the throat. I'm like, well, let me hit you in your throat with a thumb. That sounds so crazy. And see what happened. But I used to like that move. I thought it was kind of dope. But like I said, he made it look like it hurt. The wrestlers made it look like it hurt. I remember he did it off the top rope, which is so crazy to me. He stabbed his thumb in Kane's throat, and Kane started bleeding from the mouth. Okay, that was a little excessive. I'll say that. But what I'm saying is, sometimes if you sell it right or if you promote it right, it looks good. Robert says, what you think of strike moves as a finisher? For example, Eddie Kingston spinning back fist. If it looks okay, like sometimes, like, see, with these back fists, because I know Jericho does like a back elbow, they don't connect all the way sometimes. Or if you're striking, you know, Eddie does a lot of striking, and it's like a lot of them look the same. So it's just like, why? How do I take your move serious? Like he went against Takashita, and they were trading forearms and spinning hands and back fists and stuff like that. And like I said, nothing against Eddie or whatever like that. I know he likes to work like that, and that's how he does things. But it's just not impressive when all y'all did was strike each other the whole time. Or when he went against Jericho. Now, him and Jericho actually had a very good match in Revolution. But at the same time, it's like sometimes it just looks bad. It looks bad because positioning. Sometimes people aren't in the right spot. Sometimes you aren't in the right spot. And I've seen it, you know, even super kicks and stuff like that. You know, everybody made fun of the Bucks when they try to super kick Sting, and they wound up hitting Sting in the shoulders. And then when people asked them and pressed them about it, they were saying, we were trying to protect Sting. I'm like, well, listen, if you got to try to protect Sting, Sting don't need to be wrestling. That's a fact. That's just my example. That's just how I feel about the situation. And I'm a big Sting fan. You get what I'm saying? But remember, as I'm leaving, because this baby's driving me crazy. But as I remember, finishers are supposed to finish matches. The only time they are supposed to get kicked out of is if it's a high stake match or something like that, or something is on the line, your career, your mask, your hair, a championship, contender spot, something, or something that is very important. That's what makes kicking out a finisher special, especially if the fans know that is your finisher. Also, if you are doing a finisher and you know that somebody else is doing it who's probably a vet, might be best to do another move that night or whatever like that. You know, John Bullard, shout out to him in Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. He has a list, and he said it on himself, so that's why I'm saying it, on moves that certain people can and can't do because it's people's finishers. It works out like that. That way, it's special. Nobody else does it. Can you imagine WWE letting everybody doing F5s? And that's one thing I like about WWE. Protect your finisher. Make it look legit. It's okay to do something else as to have people kick out of, as long as it looks like it's a legit move. If you possibly could tell. Rob said hi. But going back into it, that's just how important it is. Protection. It's possible to protect your move. You don't have to do it every time. You don't have to do it for false finishes and stuff like that. You can do something else, man. When you oversaturate your move like that, why should it be believable? Now, I do know that sometimes fans don't remember stuff like that and keep it, but sometimes fans do. You know, if you did this to a smaller person and the smaller person kicked out of it, they're probably not going to believe if you do it to somebody way bigger than you that they're going to stay down for it. And also, if you cannot pick them up or do the move on them, move on and improvise. It's very important. So that's all I got to say about it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning. Good morning, guys. But get on this baby. Make sure you subscribe to the Take It Home podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. Make sure you come to the show. Came to become Crown Point. Hope to see you there, Rob. I'm going to show you the flyer real quick before I head on out. It's July 3rd. It's in Crown Point, Indiana. Tickets are for 10 for adults, 5 for kids. You can get tickets on Eventbrite, or you can buy them at the door. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Make sure on Facebook you go to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling page. Give me a like or a follow there. Make sure, support to show up. It's going to be a great show. All the other shows, Now That's Wrestling, a lot of other shows and everything that's going on, WPW, True Privilege Wrestling. It's going to be a great show. So hope you guys have a wonderful night as I'm going to have my baby say bye. Come on. Come here. Come here. Yep, you're not supposed to have that. But we got to go. All right. Say bye-bye. Blow a kiss. Want to blow a kiss? There we go. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.